Hi friends, strangers, internet. My name is EmilyHanhan. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. And I'm here today to rank all of my cream highlighters. I have a, I would say more petite collection when it comes to the cream highlighters, but I thought I could share some thoughts I've gathered over the last year and a half that I've kind of been digging into cream products, having spent quite a long time of my makeup life being like, nah, no thanks, I don't get the hype. So we're just gonna go through and rank everything that I own and give you my thoughts along the way. And if you are new here and you like colorful makeup, lots of opinions, and cute fat babes in general, you should go and subscribe. You could also share this video out with your fellow cream highlighter loving friends. Leave me some love in the comments. All that good stuff is always appreciated. One thing to note with my cream highlighter collection is that there is nothing currently in that collection that I don't like. So I am ranking these, but I enjoy working with all of them. So the first one, the bottom of the list, if you will, is the cream highlighter in the Natasha Denona Daria Diamond and Blush palette. Now this palette has this cream highlighter down here, and it is a fairly kind of, I like to say firm cream, and it really helps to warm it up with the warmth of your finger. The thing that I found with this is that I prefer it almost like a base for other glowy products. So I think because of both the texture and the color, it's not a favorite for the really high impact glow, and it's something that I could treat almost the way people treat the Art Glow Lust, where I would put it over large sections of my face and layer powder highlight on top or other shinier cream highlights in the specific kind of high points of my face. So nice, but not my favorite. The next one is Rituel De Fille the Siren. This is a fairly new highlighter in my collection, and it is a golden peach duochrome. I layered that on pretty thick, but I wanted to give you a better effect of how the shine comes through. It is quite pretty, but one complaint I have with the Rituel De Fille highlighters is that I don't find that I can apply them with anything besides my finger. They don't in particular pick up, in my experience, on a sponge or a brush. And they do have a more glittery style formula than some of the other creams in this video, but it's quite pretty. It's one of the few more pinky golden peach highlighters that I reach for. Another pretty new addition to my collection are these Salt New York cream highlighters that I'm ranking next up. Now, I in particular really enjoy Pearl, which is the lightest in their collection. And then I also have Beige. Now, these have a smoother appearance on the skin, with Pearl in particular giving me just the kind of beautiful glowy highlight that I love having. Beige is just a touch darker than my skin, although on my face it's probably right around the same shade. So beige would probably work, akin to the Natasha Denona Glow shade, where I could use it in more places on my face to give an all over glowy base. Whereas Pearl, I mean, I use it all over too, but Pearl is going to give a more intense glow. It's really nice to have an almost white highlighter that's kind of neutral. It's like not too icy, it's not warm, it's just kind of right in that spot that I really like. I actually, now that I've said that about the Rituel De Fille highlighter, I actually haven't played with picking up most of these on a brush or a sponge. I tend to use my fingers for most of them, just FYI. So the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Beauty Light Wand in Spotlight definitely rose up the ranks for me. First of all, this normally has a sponge tip, which I tore right off. I knew when I picked this up that this was a questionable decision. And it is just like the tiniest bit too dark for me, but the reason why it has risen up the ranks, Tyrion, we're not doing this right now. Apologies about that. I had a bit of a Tyrion interruption and he is crunching in the background. So the reason why this beauty light wand has moved up the rankings is because I have started using it. Again, referencing the Art Glow Lust, I mix this with the VDL Lumi Layer Primer to create a base that is very glowy, and because this does have this like beigey champagne color in it, it also gives me just like the tiniest bit of coverage. It's actually quite nice. I think this is pretty overrated, but because I bought it and I want to use it up, it's not too shabby for you know, a mixer. And I think if your skin tone was like a shade or two deeper than mine, this is super beautiful and glowy. It's just on me, it can look not as lifting as I would like if I apply it as just a straight highlight. Now next up I have this e.l.f. Active Workout Ready Lip and Cheek Palette. This has one highlighter in here, and this is actually like pretty solid. It reminds me of another one that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. It's just like a sheer kind of like white with a bit of gold in it. It seems like it's one that's more translucent, where it could be workable for a variety of people, but because I don't have skin any other color besides myself, obviously take that with a large grain of salt. But it's just a nice, like, it's a very like emollient formula. As you can see, I've smushed it around and theoretically hit pan, not really hit pan, but it's just a nice option. I find it to be a really nice mixing product with the blushes. So I think both as an overall designed palette and as a single like shiny cream highlighter, that's a really nice choice, especially for the price point. Now I really struggle to pick my number one, so I'm kind of viewing these as a tie, but I will give you the ranking. The second to the top of the list I'm giving to Rituel De Fille Chimera. This I thought was going to be my instant number one, and it is tempting because it is a golden green highlighter that I adore. But I have some like picky things to say about it, and then I'll tell you more about number one and why it got that spot. The main picky thing I have to say is that, similar to Siren but almost more so, like, this has a very kind of chunky, shimmery texture. And I find the impact on that to be incredible. But if you are somebody that tends to bring your highlighter down like onto the apples of your cheeks or anything like that, this glimmer, this gleam that's created from it can sometimes make that part of your face look more textured and more intense. I really like it almost more as a high points of the cheek, down the nose, you know, Cupid's bow, like real intense placement. And the other thing I'm being picky about is that, you know, I was saying earlier, I don't use a brush or sponge for almost any of these, but I really, because I love this one so much, I really wish I could pick it up on a brush or sponge and use it in that way rather than having to use my fingers. But it's also like, I have a love affair with Chimera. It's truly just one of the prettiest, and the green never really shows up in pictures or video the way it does in real life, which is a shame because, whew, it's a favorite. So, if Chimera isn't number one, then what is? Well, you might have figured it out. It's the Danessa Myricks Dew Wet Balm, and I have the color Morning Dew. Now, the Dew Wet Balm was probably one of the first cream highlighters that I picked up. This is a very sheer cream highlighter. Morning Dew does have a touch of a golden shimmer in it, but I don't find that to be super apparent. And I've heard that a lot of the shades in this line don't look that different on the skin. So just pick one and go with it. There's a couple of reasons why I ranked this beauty as number one. I find this texture to be one of the most approachable textures of my highlighters. It's a tiny bit more slippy, but it's very thin. And I think that's one of the things when it comes to like cream products, is that sometimes the texture can be off-putting. That's definitely something for me. It's also why I ranked it above the Rituel De Fille, because I feel like this texture, this formula is just so easy to work with. It really like shears out. Like, I think calling it a balm does make sense, and I know that that might scare some of you all off, but I find it to just be really nice to work with. It doesn't feel too sticky on the skin. It almost, like if you're working it into the skin, it almost is like just a touch oily, but not really oily. I also have multiple layers of products on my finger, so what I'm feeling right now could be slightly off. Multiple reasons why I love this formula is that it really layers well both under and over product. So if you have, let's say you put down a powder highlighter or a powder blush and you are not totally loving the finish, you can tap this on top of the highlighter or the blush to get a more dewy finish without having to like buy multiple cream blushes or cream highlighters. You can also put this down first and put highlighter on top of it, like a powder highlighter. So for the highlighters that I have that are more glittery or flaky, this is a great base. It can help a flakier highlighter just like kind of really like hold on and be super shiny without getting that flakiness all over the face. It's also going to intensify the highlighter because it's sticking down on this balmy base. And I find it very versatile. I think by itself you get that like glossy highlighted face look, but when you play with it with other products, it's so good to amplify and accentuate other things, which makes sense because Danessa Myricks is a makeup artist and the entire line is very like versatile, workable, like do all kinds of different things with one product. So I had to give number one to the Duet Balm because it was really like the most user-friendly introduction to cream highlighters that helped me venture into other cream highlighters, and I still go back to it regularly and I use it in so many different ways, and it's just a joy. Natasha Denona Glow, Siren, Pearl Beige, Charlotte Tilbury, Elf, Chimera, Danessa Myricks.